Regular meeting number 26 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Elizabeth Brown, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the prayer. Father William Metzger of St. Simon and Jude. Welcome back to Council, Father Metzger.
O God, Father and Creator, on this 9th of May, we find ourselves midway through the beautiful season of spring, a time of growth and renewal signified in the natural beauty of the earth. In the Christian tradition, we are still in the Easter season, the great 50 days that celebrates renewal of spirit with a hope of resurrection that culminates with Pentecost, the anniversary of the coming of the Holy Spirit with his gifts of wisdom, understanding, knowledge, reverence, right judgment, courage, wonder, and awe. Your spirit of wisdom fills the earth and teaches us your ways. You inspired Christopher Columbus, after whom this great city is named, with courage, wonder, and awe, to seek beyond the limits of the known world to discover a new world. Give us, as citizens of this city, the vision that is born of faith and hope, to go with perseverance beyond the boundaries of narrow-mindedness and prejudice and the false limits set before us, not to discover a new world, but a better world through our efforts and the sharing of our gifts and talents. We thank you for the blessings that you have showered upon us in our past, and we ask your continued help. Bless our president, our governor, our mayor, our city council members, and all elected officials, that they may continue to serve the common good in the best possible way. And we close in those words from the Irish prayer, an Irish prayer, O breathe on us, O breath of God. Fill us with life anew, that we may love the things you love and do what you would do. O breathe on us, O breath of God, until our hearts are pure, until our will is one with yours to do and to endure. O breathe on us, O breath of God. Our wills to yours incline, until the selfish part of us glows with your fire divine. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Metzger.
You're welcome, sir.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson. President Klein.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson. President Klein.
This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda. They'll be published in the city bulletin. Clerk Blevins, are there any communications to be read into the record?
Not this time. Thank you.
Resolutions by members of council. If it's okay with you, Councilmember Brown, I'm going to start because we have some special guests in the hallway with Councilmember Page.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight we have our annual guest here from the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, and I would like to welcome Mr. Tom Stoff as well as his human and furry friends up to the podium. Each year, the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department will sponsor hundreds of children on a day trip to Zambezi Bay, which is owned by the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. This partnership provides transportation and admission for children from the Recreation and Parks Schools Out and Playground program to the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium as part of the Melvin B. Dodge Summer Zoo Days. This special summer program will serve 30 city playgrounds and transport approximately 2,100 playground participants to the zoo. Some of the in-kind services provided are transportation, admissions, backpacks, and novelties. So we have some friends here, and I'll let you, Tom, go ahead and speak. And I would just like to thank you so much for the partnership that you have with the City of Columbus and for your continuous efforts to make sure that our children are having the opportunity to enjoy the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. So thank you.
Thank you so much. President Klein, council members, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. We have Calvin here with Bernadette, and Bernadette is a red kangaroo, and our friend Tommy with a bear cat. And so when we talk about the Cincinnati Bearcats, well, this is the Columbus Bearcat, and it's actually found in Palau, and a beautiful animal. The reason why we have them here today is these are our animal ambassadors. And when we talk about the history of Columbus Zoo, we have to talk about Mel Dodge. Mel Dodge was a person who cared so much about his community and so much about animals. And putting kids and animals together to inspire them is exactly what we want to do. So we want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to continue the spirit of Mel Dodge, putting smiles on kids' faces. And so when we talk about Mel Dodge Days, it's about bringing kids from all over Columbus that are participating in recreation and parks and being able to have a great time at the Columbus Zoo. So not only do they come to the zoo, they're getting a great ride on the COTA bus, and they're also getting gift bags and getting the opportunity to see animals like you're seeing today. That's what it's all about for us. It's about inspiring people and leading in what we do. So it's lead and inspire by connecting people and wildlife. We do that every single day. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to continue this great work that the Columbus Zoo is doing. Two other things that I'd like to share with you if you would allow me to. The COTA bus is now running every day to the zoo, and if folks in the Central City would love to take that ride, they also get half price to the zoo and discounts to Zumbizi Bay every single day. And the other thing that I'd like to make sure everyone realizes, we're very proud that we will be hosting in 2020 the National Zoo and Aquarium Association. They'll be coming with over 2,500 delegates to see Columbus and to hear and see all the new things that are happening at the Columbus Zoo. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to highlight our animals today, and thank you so much for all of your support for the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. We're very proud of our partnership, and we're very proud to inspire people about conservation and learning about wildlife and wild places.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you for your guests as well. Do any of my colleagues have any additional comments? Oh, Councilmember Stenziano.
Just very briefly, you didn't highlight Nico, and we recently took our son, and he wanted to know where all the big polar bears were. So while Nico's a star attraction, we still appreciate all the big, large bears as well in the Stenziano household. So thank you for all you do for our community and for all that your staff and volunteers do as well.
Thank you.
President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Councilmember Page. I'm also very excited that the COTA is going to be going to the zoo every day, and that you're giving a discount to individuals who come from our Central City communities. I think it's a Columbus Zoo and Aquarium is an amazing place, and we should all individuals should have an opportunity to come and just really to be wowed by our zoo. So I'm glad you guys have that partnership, and look forward to individuals from our community taking advantage of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilmember Page, while you have the floor, any other announcements or resolutions?
Yes, President Klein. I would like to ask, Ms. April Vandervoort to come up. She is here with the Coleman Race. She is a board member as well as the Race Logistics Chair of Columbus. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I have Resolution 0107X-2016 to honor and recognize the Komen Columbus Race for the Cure for raising money to fund groundbreaking breast cancer research around the world and fund breast health community programs. I would like to first move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, and I will speak very briefly, and just thank you for coming down, and thank you for the work that Komen does, not only in Columbus, but across our country, to help women and men who are suffering from breast cancer and to find a cure. I know that here in Columbus, the race is an amazing event. You have a lot of participants every year, and it continues to grow. So just really thank you for the efforts that you're doing here in the city of Columbus, and the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Councilwoman Page. Thank you, Council President Klein and council members. I'm so proud to be here to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Susan G. Komen Columbus. Komen's mission is saving lives and ending breast cancer, and we're doing that through funding groundbreaking research and through funding community programs to help with education and other research programs. The dollars raised through the Komen Columbus Race for the Cure help us save the lives of women and men in the community who are suffering from breast cancer. We're also investing those dollars in the research and the programs. The Race for the Cure, our Race for the Cure here in Columbus, has been the largest Race for the Cure in the country for the last 2 years, with over 30,000 participants. Once again, this year, we're expecting about 30,000 participants in downtown Columbus for the race to help honor our survivors and those who've lost their battle. Also in the city of Columbus, we have the largest Race for the Cure team in the country, and that's with L Brands, and they've been for 6 straight years, they've been the largest team in the country for Race for the Cure. We're so fortunate to live in a community that supports this event and has really helped the race to grow over the years. The race started 24 years ago with 749 participants and raised $54,000. Last year, we had over 30,000 participants and raised $2 million to further the mission to end breast cancer. So I want to thank you all for your support. Thank you for your partnership, and we hope to see you on Saturday for Race Day.
Awesome, thank you so much. Are there any additional comments from my colleagues?
Very good. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you.
And President Klein, I have one final announcement. We are excited about the opening of Douglas Recreation Center in the Linden community this Friday, May 13th. They will have family fun night from 6 until 8:30 p.m. And then the community celebration will be on Saturday, May 14th, beginning at 1 p.m. And the ribbon cutting ceremony with Mayor Ginther, as well as President Pro Tem Tyson and Councilwoman Elizabeth Brown will begin at 2:30. So we hope to see everyone there. Thank you, President Klein.
Thank you, Councilmember Page. Councilmember Elizabeth Brown?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to start with an announcement. On behalf of the Columbus Department of Education, I'd like to announce the Countdown to Kindergarten event for children starting kindergarten this upcoming school year. Countdown to Kindergarten will be on this Saturday, May 14th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Fort Hays Metropolitan Education Center, located at 546 Jack Gibbs Road. Children will have the opportunity to experience what kindergarten will be like by boarding a school bus, going through a lunch line, and receiving a fun activity list of 100 things to do before school begins. Parents will also have things to do. They'll be able to visit the Central Enrollment Center, which will be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the same location, to receive assistance completing online registration and other steps necessary for their child to start kindergarten. Once again, that's this Saturday, May 14th from 11 to 1. And for more information or to register to attend, please call the Early Childhood Education Office, 614-365-5822. And I also have a resolution. Tonight, as I'm reading this, actually, could Quentin Harris and his team members from Economic Development please come up? Quentin Harris is our Deputy Director for Economic Development. He's got 3 excellent team members with him: Mark Lundeen, Michael Logis, and Anthony Slappy. Resolution 0116X-2016 is to recognize May 8th through 14th, 2016 as Economic Development Week. So first, I'd like to move for adoption.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Denziano, Tyson. President Klein.
Wonderful. So Quentin, I'd like to turn it over to you. These four gentlemen are part of the incredible economic development team for the city of Columbus. They do great work to bring jobs to our community, but you also do, you collaborate with other economic development entities in town and around the country and around the world. And my understanding is this resolution sort of came out of some of those collaborations. So, Quentin.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown, Council President Klein, members of council. This is Economic Development Week. This is the inaugural year, which was spurred by the International Economic Development Council, which is the leading economic development entity across the world. And what they wanted to do was to acknowledge the work that economic developers do on a daily basis, but more importantly, acknowledge the work that the development community as a whole does. A lot of folks like to acknowledge what economic development professionals do, but architects, workforce development professionals, lawyers, accountants, all play a vital role in accomplishing the economic development projects that we work on a daily basis. As you mentioned, we have some great public partners here in the region with Jobs Ohio, Columbus 2020, Franklin County Department of Economic Development, as well as council and the administration that gives us the support and the tools that we need to be successful and to continue to grow the tax base of the city and to create jobs at all socioeconomic levels. So we want to thank you for the opportunity to work for the city and to continue to do the work that we do on a daily basis.
So be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council recognizes May 8th through 14th, 2016 as Economic Development Week to highlight the hard work and positive impact economic development professionals like our own here, Columbus-based businesses, the local workforce, and others have in Columbus communities. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
That is all that I have, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. First, I'd like to make an announcement. On Thursday, May 19th at 2 p.m., we will be having a public hearing with the Department of Technology here in Columbus Council Chambers. We'll be doing an overview of the technology department, including our Columbus website, smartphone apps, and again, I will encourage you, if you have not downloaded the app, to please do so, CTV, 311, and many other aspects of our Columbus Department of Technology. I invite everyone to attend. Look forward to the hearing on May 19th, and there will also be an opportunity for any public comment. Next, I have resolution 011X-2016 to recognize and celebrate the centennial celebration of the Kiwanis Club of Columbus. I would like to welcome and thank Jeff Reyes, President of the Kiwanis Club of Columbus, and Kathleen Roberts, Paul Bowman, and JP LaFramboise to please come forward to the podium. As they come forward, I'd like to introduce the resolution. Tomorrow, the Kiwanis Club of Columbus will celebrate their 100th anniversary. The club is one of more than 8,000 clubs worldwide in more than 80 countries. Founded in 1916, it is actually the 5th oldest Kiwanis club. The club addresses the needs of the city of Columbus by mentoring children, serving homeless community members, providing scholarships for deserving students, and promoting entrepreneurship. They're currently, the Columbus chapter is helping to raise money with UNICEF for the Eliminate Project, which aims to eliminate maternal and neonatal tetanus, which is responsible for the deaths of 30,000 mothers and 60,000 babies annually. The Kiwanis Club of Columbus has pledged $130,000 to the project, which stands as the single largest club pledge throughout Kiwanis clubs around the world. once again showing why the Kiwanis Club of Columbus is a resource not only to the city of Columbus, but to the global community as well. Therefore, it's with great admiration and gratitude that I move for adoption of this resolution.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And if my colleagues have any comments they'd like to make? If not, I'd like to invite Jeff to the podium for any comments you'd like to make.
Thank you, Councilmember Stenziano, Council President Klein, and other council members. We're grateful for this resolution. It recognizes 100 years of leaders in the Columbus City area who have been members of the Kiwanis Club of Columbus. It also inspires the current members to carry on the legacy of those former business leaders who've built the foundation of service to the city of Columbus. There are a number of great things that have happened through the Kiwanis Club of Columbus, and we'd certainly invite each of you to consider coming to join us on a Monday at noon at the Athletic Club. All of you are welcome. It would be our honor to host you as a guest there. Also, on Saturday night, we celebrated our centennial at the State House and gave away $100,000 to 4 City of Columbus charities to help inspire some different activities that are going on here to serve underprivileged and focus on children in the city of Columbus. So we're excited about what's ahead, and we thank you for this resolution you've provided us with today. Thank you.
I just want to add, thank you very much for your service to our community. There is absolutely no way that we could afford to provide all the services that our residents need. And so just as the chair of Health and Human Services, I understand the importance of volunteerism and the support from organizations like your own. So to your organization, again, thank you very much for your service to our community, and definitely thank you for the $100,000 you gave to 4 amazing organizations doing great service in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Klein.
Thank you. I just have 2 announcements. The first is our next Health, Human Services and Workforce Development and Finance Committee hearing will be on Tuesday, May 10th at 5 p.m. It should be noted that each of these meetings are open to the public and will allow an opportunity for speakers. If there are members of the viewing audience are interested in attending these hearings, please contact my office for additional information at 614-645-0854. The last comment I'll make is that the 2016 State of the Visitor Industry First Quarter Report just came out. Just excited that the Experience Columbus is doing a great job. The bed tax dollars are up 1.64%. That means that's $126,000, almost $127,000 that in additional funds that will be able to support our not only Experience Columbus, but the social service agencies, the cultural arts programs, GCAC, of course, and the affordable housing programs and Franklin County Convention Facilities Authority. So they're doing a great job in bringing lots of organizations and conventions to our city. They brought 133 conventions to Columbus during that first quarter. So congratulations to Experience Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson. Are there any comments by our elected officials or members of the administration, the auditor's office, treasurer's office, city attorney? Judge Barrows?
Not at this time. Thank you very much.
Judge Moorhart? Okay. Are there any other requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive second reading of titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Finance Committee, Ordinance 1124-2016. Economic Development Committee, Ordinances 1117, 1121, 1181-2016. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinance 756-2016. Technology Committee, Ordinances 988 and 1075-2016. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinance 836, 9 908, 911, 1035, 1036, 1074, 1085, 1128, 1135-2016, Judiciary and Court Administration Committee, ordinances 1150 and 1151-2016, and Zoning Committee, ordinances 1174, 1182, 1183, and 1184-2016.
Thank you, City Clerk. The following ordinances will appear on our agenda as consent actions. Will the clerk now read the ordinance numbers of each into the record?
Finance Committee, ordinances 1123, 1136, 1138, 1148, and 1186-2016. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinance 1154-2016. Economic Development Committee, ordinance 1193-2016. Environment Committee, ordinance 1012-2016. Administration Committee, ordinance 1068-2016. Public Safety Committee, ordinances 833, 834, 879, 993, 1048, 1049, 1050, 1054, and 1106-2016. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Resolution 95X-2016. Ordinances 1045, 1057, 1095, 1164, and 1214-2016. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinances 999, 1000, 1102, 1103-2016. Housing Committee, ordinances 1178, 1179, and 1185-2016. Technology Committee, ordinances 573, 773, and 775-2016. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 847, 956, 975, 984, 1034-2016. Judiciary and Court Administration Committee, ordinance 1090-2016. And appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0076, 77, 78, 81, 82, 83, 84, 86-2016.
We do have one speaker on the consent action portion of the agenda, Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins. Welcome back to council, Mr. Wilkins. You have 3 minutes.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins. I would just like to know, what would the money be used for, the block grant care of an emergency? I would love to see $97,000 for this instead of 45. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. May I have a motion for approval of these items designated as consent actions? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the exception of 1103-2016, on which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Brown? Hardin? Page? Stinziano? Tyson?
Yes, with the exception of 1164-2016, on which I am abstaining.
President Klein?
Yes, consent action carries with the notable exceptions. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day tabled and emergency legislation. The first committee is the Finance Committee. President Pro Tem Tyson chairs that committee. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Ginther. The first ordinance I have in finance is 1125-2016. It's to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into one universal term contract for the option to purchase overhead door parts with Kelly and Askew, to authorize the expenditure of $1 to establish the contract from the general fund, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of Chapter 329 of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. The total estimated expenditure is $40,000, and this ordinance is to purchase overhead door parts to be used by various agencies to perform repairs on overhead doors. And Director Lombardi, would you please share with the viewing and listening audience and my council colleagues why we're waiving competitive bidding?
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson, President Klein, members of council. The reason for the waiver is this bid went out with a line item option plus an option to include a catalog for additional manufacturers. We received one bid from Kelly Askew. They did not submit the catalog, And for us to be able to award other manufacturer parts, we had to informally ask them to submit a catalog. So because of that, we had to waive the bids. These parts are used for our fire station overhead doors. They have, as you know, a lot of doors at the fire station. So without that catalog, we would have only been able to award those line items and possibly not been able to get to all the fire stations that would need any repair parts.
Thank you, Director. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. I'd now like to move to Health and Human Services. Thank you. The first ordinance is 1032-2016. It's to authorize the appropriation of $20,000 within the General Fund Public Safety Initiatives Subfund in order to support the work of the Child Car Seat Inspection and Installation Program. And now I'd like my esteemed colleague, Councilman Stenziano, to share the background on this legislation.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Pretty excited that in coordination with Columbus Public Health and Celebrate One Infant Mortality Reduction Initiative and the Safe Kids Central Ohio Injury Prevention Program to highlight a wonderful program that city offers that distributes and installs child safety seats in vehicles for qualifying city residents. This ordinance and the supplemental program funding will provide for an additional part-time staff member, which will in turn allow for the reduction in wait times for car seat installation and inspections. For anyone, either at home or in the audience, or maybe a council member that has young children, they know how important child safety installation can be, also how challenging it can be to kind of learn the nuances of what is a good child safety seat, how to properly install it, how to make sure you've pulled it tight enough so that it isn't going to adjust. So I got to learn that firsthand with my children, and also learned though through that process that the use of a child safety seat can reduce the risk of death by as much as 71% when it is installed correctly, but unfortunately on average 73% of all car seats are not used or installed correctly. Here in Franklin County that percentage jumps actually to 90%. And so this issue, the program and the leadership of the department is crucial, so not only can we help our infant mortality, but make sure these young Central Ohioans are able to grow up and be healthy and happy. The car seat program helps provide car seats and booster seats at a reduced cost to families in need. To get a seat, families must participate in a car seat class at Columbus Public Health. The class runs 60 to 90 minutes and teaches the safety features of the car seat, including how to install in a vehicle the right way so it can protect the child best. This ordinance will allow the car seat program to provide 11 car seat classes, up from 8, and expand the car seat check program from 2 fitting stations monthly to 8 fitting stations monthly. Also, be on the lookout as always for the community car seat checkup events, which will be able to expand to about 30 community-based special events such as festivals and health fairs around the city this year. Before opening the floor for questions or comments from my colleagues, I would just like to urge everyone that if you do have a car seat or you will be getting in the market soon, first, congratulations, but please make sure that they are being installed correctly. And if you would like to ever learn about where a checkup event is occurring or sign up for a class, you can call 614-645-7748 to schedule that appointment. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues?
Thank you, Councilmember Stenziano, for sponsoring this. I think this is really exciting, and I am just doing my PSA part here to say that I didn't realize before I was a parent that you need to put your car seat rear-facing in the middle seat. I think it is natural to assume that the side seat is safer, but I think that's something that's not very well known, and having these kinds of checkpoints that you're sponsoring and that I hope will pass here tonight will help make sure some of those facts parents really understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Stenziano, for making this one of your amendments in 2016 that will allow, again, for a part-time staff member and will allow for the reduction in wait times for car seat installation inspection. So thank you for this legislation.
Without any further questions, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. I now have ordinance 1168-2016. It's to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept additional funding and extend the grant period for the Child and Family Health Services Grant Program from the Ohio Department of Health in the amount of $254,475.43, to authorize the appropriation of $254,475.43 to the Health Department and the Health Department's Grants Fund, and to declare an emergency. This grant period for the Child and Family Health Services Grant Program has been extended to September the 30th of 2016. The Franklin County Child and Family Health Services Program addresses high smoking rates, especially among pregnant women, high rates of overweight children in Franklin County, high infant mortality rates, and with significant racial disparities and high incidence of sleep-related infant deaths. The program at Columbus Public Health, this will fund the Infant Safe Sleep Program, the Fetal Infant Mortality Review Program, the Women's Health and Family Center, and the Healthy Children's Healthy Weight Program. And so this program, these dollars are so important to our women's programs at Columbus Public Health. And now I would ask my colleagues to move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. I'd now like to move, I would like to ask for Helen Gray Medina to walk towards the podium. And I have ordinance number 1173-2016. It's to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to establish a purchase order with Cribs for Kids for the purchase of portable cribs for Columbus Public Health. And I'm going to ask Ms. Gray Medina, she's the Director of Child Fatality Review and Infant Safe Sleep, to share the importance of this ordinance.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson and Council President Klein and other City Council members for having me. I just want to share that Columbus Public Health became a Cribs for Kids provider back in July of 2014. And we were fortunate enough to get some cribs from the Ohio Department of Health for distribution among women and caregivers in our county that don't otherwise have a safe sleep place for their babies. And I'm sure all of you know about the infant mortality rate in Columbus and Franklin County. We have a significant number of sleep-related deaths every year. Every year we lose a kindergarten class to sleep-related infant deaths, and many of those deaths are preventable. And so by providing a safe sleep place for babies, we're hoping that we can curb that high rate of sleep-related infant deaths. In 2015, we provided 863 portable cribs, also called pack-and-plays, to Columbus and Franklin County residents that didn't otherwise have a safe place for their babies to sleep. Already in 2016, we've provided 285 pack-and-plays to families that need it. So we are growing exponentially. The need is definitely there, and we're happy that we're able to meet that need for residents that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford a crib for their baby. I'd like to share that we have one full-time staff person working on this, and then we've trained several other staff within Columbus Public Health on how to appropriately set up and take down the pack-and-plays, and we do demonstrations with our families. We don't just give them a box and say good luck. We really do show them how to set it up and take it down, because just like with the car seats, it's not self-explanatory. So we're just thrilled to be able to offer this service. And if you know of somebody in our county that needs a crib, please urge them to call 614-645-3111. That's our city's call center. They've been trained on our eligibility criteria, and if somebody meets that, they're put in a queue, and then Columbus Public Health follows up with them to make arrangements to get them the crib. Are there any questions?
There are no questions, and next week we're going to have a presentation, because
Yes.
next week, this whole month of May, Columbus Public Health is focusing on safe sleep.
Yes, we've designated May as Infant Safe Sleep Awareness Month at Columbus Public Health, and we're doing really exciting things. So very happy to be able to come back again next week to share some of that information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And with that, I'd like to move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
The next committee is Economic Development, and it's Economic Development Week. So Councilmember Elizabeth Brown, the floor is yours.
All right, it's officially Economic Development Week. Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Economic Development, we first have ordinance number 1116-2016 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a Columbus Downtown Office Incentive Agreement with Engage Holdings LLC, DBA IQ Ventures, as provided in Columbus City Council Resolution number 0088X-2007, adopted June 4th, 2007. IQ Ventures specializes in developing software that provides advanced analytics to contact center operations. This agreement is because IQ Ventures is proposing to expand in downtown Columbus. They're relocating and retaining their current jobs from their Dublin location and creating 25 new full-time permanent positions with an average annual salary of $65,000. They're proposing to do this in Columbus. Director Shoney, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Thank you, Madam Chair, President Klein, members of council. Just a couple things to add. The location they'll be going into is the Smith Brothers building. It continues to be a hub for exactly these kind of information technology businesses, startups. I mean, we're just coming off of Startup Week last week, and I think this is a great finish to that, where we have two entrepreneurs coming out of our regional incubator system and have chosen to locate in downtown where they can be with other like businesses.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions from my colleagues? I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 1205-2016 to authorize the Director of Development to amend the Jobs Growth Incentive Agreement with the Kroger Company to revise the incentive term start date, the retained job commitment, and the associated baseline payroll amount as described in the agreement, and to declare an emergency. Director Shoney, could you tell us a little bit more about the revised details?
Yeah, this is actually really just pretty simple. The company had some construction delays, so we're delaying their incentive a year, and they shifted from saying that they had 103 retained jobs to saying they had 105 retained jobs and the associated payroll. There was some reporting on that today in the paper and online that made it sound like we were somehow reducing their incentives or they were reducing their commitment. Quite the contrary, they found some small accounting errors. It's fairly common in what we do when folks get into the contracts. They corrected it, and actually they're going to be retaining more jobs than they originally promised.
Okay. Any questions for my colleagues? All right. Thank you. I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And finally, in economic development, we have ordinance 1206-2016 to dissolve the Jobs Growth Incentive Agreement between the City of Columbus and Universal Fabricating and Construction Services, Incorporated, and their employer of record, OneSource Employee Management, LLC, and to declare an emergency. Director Shoney, can you give us a little bit of background about this company?
I can give you a little bit of background. Essentially, the company unfortunately went out of business. The city did not pay out on any incentives to this company prior to their going out of business. I don't have a whole lot more details on
But
it.
we didn't pay them a portion of their incentive.
No, we did not.
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge, but I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay. That was my understanding in our previous conversations.
Okay, good. The way you looked at me, I thought maybe I'd gotten it wrong.
No,
so.
you were right. Are there any questions from my colleagues about this one? Okay. I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That's all I have, President Klein.
Thank you, Councilmember Elizabeth Brown. We'll move to public safety with Councilmember Mitch Brown. The floor is yours, sir.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Ordinance number 1107-2016 to enact a new section of 1909.112 of the Columbus City Codes to establish the Volunteer Peace Officers Dependent Funds Board. I'd like to have Assistant Director Pashadi speak to this legislation.
Council President Klein, Chair Brown, council members. Senate Bill 11 passed on March 23rd, enacted the Jason Gresco Act to create Volunteer Peace Officers Dependents Fund to provide death benefits to survivors of volunteer peace officers killed in the line of duty. The bill also requires that each county, municipal corporation, or township that employs volunteer peace officers excuse me, be a member of this fund and establish a fund board. And essentially that's what this ordinance does, is establishes the board.
If there are any questions, again, this legislation was already passed by the Senate, and we're now following it in accordance with the law. Any questions? Hearing none, I ask for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, President Klein. Today in Public Service and Transportation Committee, we have Ordinance 1097-2016 to amend the 2016 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Newcomer Concrete, Inc. for the Pedestrian Safety Improvement, Whittier Street Sidewalks, Lockbourne Road to Fairwood Avenue project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,309,428.80 within the Streets and Highways General Obligation Bond Fund for the Division of Design and Construction, and to declare an emergency. Ordinance 1097-2016 is a sidewalks program along Whittier Avenue between Lockbourne Road and Fairwood Avenue on the north and south sides of Whittier Street. In addition to installing sidewalks along this half-mile stretch of road, will include curbs, brick paving, and miter storm sewer work. This work is estimated to begin on May 16th and conclude later this summer. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. That's all I had in my committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Hardin. The next is Recreation and Parks, chaired by Councilmember Jisa Page. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. This evening in Recreation and Parks, we have Ordinance 0998-2016, which is to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks Department to enter into contract with Tim Lai, architect, for the design and construction documents for a pavilion space in Italian Village Park in the Italian Village neighborhood. This is an ordinance that we are very excited about. We had a lot of thoughts and contributions from the Italian Village community to come up with the design for this space in their neighborhood. Additionally, I would ask that we waive the competitive bidding provisions of City Code Chapter 329, authorize the expenditure of $36,000 with a contingency of $4,000 for a total of $40,000 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund. Now I'd like to ask Deputy Director Rakowski to speak briefly to why we're waiving competitive bidding.
Chair Page, President Klein, and members of council, this was a design competition that was done through a jury that, as you mentioned, included members of the Italian Village community, design professionals from the community, as well as members of the commission. So because we did not follow 329 in that regard, even though it was a competition, that's why we're asking for the waiver.
Thank you, Deputy Director Rakowski. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And then the next two ordinances are actually campaign ordinances that deal with our APPS program, which is Applications for Purpose, Pride, and Success. And I always like to take the opportunity to acknowledge Councilmember Hardin for his efforts in creating this program, as well as his continued efforts in staying very involved with the Recreation and Parks program, particularly the APPS program and what they're doing with our young people throughout the community to discourage violence and really working with them to provide additional resources for those opportunity youth that are just looking for a way out of some of their unfortunate circumstances. So the first ordinance is 1013-2016 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to renew the contract with the Communities for New Direction to provide professional and fiscal services related to the implementation of the Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program 2016 contract, to authorize the expenditure of $278,000 from the Recreation and Parks Fund 2285, and to declare an emergency. Are there any additional comments from any of my colleagues? Councilman Hardin.
Thank you, Chairwoman Page. Just want to say thank you for your leadership on this, and the two organizations that we are funding this evening, Communities for New Direction and the Columbus Urban League, are doing really significant work in our communities. Community for New Direction working on the west side and the north side, and Columbus Urban League on the south and east side, providing intervention work. If you've seen them out there, if you've seen some of our intervention workers who we say are street level social workers, it's really an amazing space for Columbus Recreation Parks to be working within. And so I'd like to applaud you and certainly the director for stepping up and serving our community in this way.
Thank you. Yes, President Pro Tem Tyson.
Thank you, Chairwoman Page. I too want to commend you as well as Councilman Hardin, certainly, and also to the director Director Akowski's here today from Recreation and Parks. These programs are integral to the success of our young people, and it's just a great way to mirror the work that happens at Recreation and Parks for our young people to be able to come there where there's caring adults to be able to help them to move forward. Any data that you read about young people is that they really want to be where there are caring individuals, where they have an opportunity to grow and to thrive, and certainly the APPS program is able to do that. It keeps them safe, keeps the community safe. It's just great programs and great organizations. So I commend the both of you for the work that you're doing within our recreation facilities to be able to help our young people.
Thank you. I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And then ordinance 1014-2016, which is to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to renew the contract with the Columbus Urban League to provide professional and fiscal services through the Neighborhood Violence Intervention Program 2016 contract, and to authorize the expenditure of $271,000 from the Recreation and Parks Fund 2285, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments, I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Passed.
Thank you, President Klein. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Page. The next committee is Public Utilities, chaired by Michael Stenziano.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight we have ordinance 0828-2016 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to modify an existing contract with H.R. Gray for the wastewater treatment facilities professional construction management contract, mode number 4, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of funds from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Go Bond Fund, to authorize the appropriation of funds from the Sanitary Sewer Build America Bond Fund, the Sanitary Sewer Super BABS Fund, and the Sanitary Sewer Permanent Improvement Fund 6115, to authorize an expenditure of $1,124,173 and to amend the 2015 capital improvement budget. The contract provides construction, administration, and management services, including construction, inspection, startup coordination, reporting, budgeting, scheduling, document tracking, and related tasks for multiple projects, including biosolids land application improvements and chemically enhanced primary treatment for the Southerly Wastewater Treatment Plant, a roof replacement for the Department of Public Utilities facilities, and corrosion prevention and protective coating systems at the Jackson Pike Wastewater Treatment Plant. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Passed. The next ordinance is 0846-2016 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a professional engineering agreement with Brown and Caldwell for the SWWTP Digestion Process Expansion Project to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $2,461,829 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Go Bond Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $2,461,829 from the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Go Bond Fund, and to amend the 2016 capital improvement budget. This project will effectively discontinue the Southerly Waste Water Treatment Plant's acid phase digestion process and also provide a comprehensive analysis of alternative treatment technologies and digestion process configurations for producing Class B biosolids. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. That's all we have in utilities. If you wouldn't mind, I'd actually like to make a correction on technology. In the previous public announcements, I had misreported the date of the public hearing. That will be Tuesday, May 17th at 3 p.m. Again, Tuesday, May 17th at 3 p.m. Department of Technology will have a public hearing. We had been moving some dates and times around, so sorry I misspoke, but that hopefully was enough time for you all to download the My Columbus app during those comments. And with that, I would love to move to Judiciary. Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Judiciary, we have Ordinance 1003-2016 to authorize and direct the administrative and presiding judge of the Franklin County Municipal Court to enter into a contract with Alvis Incorporated to authorize the expenditure of up to $200,000 with Alvis Incorporated for inpatient chemical halfway housing and treatment for OVI and non-OVI offenders, and to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Codes. This ordinance will authorize the court to enter this agreement. The court has negotiated a service contract with Alvis, which is a nonprofit. Alvis is the only facility in Franklin County that is certified as a halfway house by the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections and possesses the necessary level of expertise to provide housing and treatment services. It is in the best interest of the Municipal Court Administrative Office to waive the competitive bidding requirements of Chapter 329 because the court has determined for continuity of service that it is in the best interest to enter into the contract with Alvis for this inpatient chemical dependency treatment. All the comments I have, I don't know if the judge would want to say anything. He's shaking his head no. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage and request a voice vote.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Hardin? Page? Stenziano? Tyson?
Abstain.
President Klein.
The last ordinance we have is 1089-2016 to authorize and direct the city auditor to transfer $340,000 from the general fund to the Specialty Docket Programs Fund in support of the Franklin County Municipal Court Specialty Docket Program. This ordinance, I appreciate your leadership, President Klein, is co-sponsored by you, and authorize the transfer of those funds, which consists to 5 special programs that address drug and alcohol addiction, heroin addiction, mental health issues, and the special needs of human trafficking victims and veterans courts. The specialty dockets hold criminal offenders accountable while linking them with comprehensive treatment and services, which leads to a reduction in recidivism and an increase in community safety. In April 2004, the mental health program was created to better serve criminal defendants who are impacted by severe mental illness and who have pending cases before the court. In 2009, the Changing Actions to Change Habits Catch program was created to better serve criminal defendants who have been charged with misdemeanor solicitation, prostitution, and/or loitering to solicit. The docket also serves people convicted of other crimes, which were committed while the participant was a victim of human trafficking. Participants may have severe depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, or other mental illnesses, and may be dependent on alcohol and/or drugs. Because many of the participants have been the victims of human trafficking, Catch Court focuses on the trauma experienced by participants. Also in 2009, the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Program was created to better serve criminal defendants who are dependent on drugs and/or alcohol and who have pending legal issues before the court. In 2010, the Opioid Extension Program was developed to accompany the Alcohol and Drug Addiction Program but addresses the needs of criminal defendants who are also dependent on opioids. And in 2012, the Military and Veteran Service Specialty Docket was created to better serve criminal defendants who have severe mental illness, chemical dependency, and other factors, all of which impact their ability to access and navigate services afforded to them because of their military involvement after they are charged with a misdemeanor offense. That court actually will have, on May 16th, 18 veterans from the Military and Veteran Service Specialty Docket graduating. And so on behalf of council, we want to offer our sincere congratulations to those men and women on their success and wish them the best. Council President Klein, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Stenziano, and I appreciate the recognition, but the true recognition goes to judges like Judge Barrows and Judge Morehart, Judge Herbert, and retired Judge Vanderkar, who are in the trenches every day dealing with these issues and recognizing that we can still have accountability for folks that break the law, but at the same time recognizing that treatment is available for those that have mental health issues or drug addiction issues. And this is a great step in the direction of being aggressive and recognizing and triaging individuals and asking them why they're entering the criminal justice system instead of just sending them on their way, giving them the treatment they need. So thank you, judges, for being part of this program, and because we can't do it without the input of the judges and without the participation of the judges. So we recognize that, and we're grateful for your work. Thank you.
I don't know if the judges have any comments.
Chair Stenziano, Council President Klein, members of council, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I have brought with me tonight two women that I'd like to introduce to you. First is Judge Cindy Morehart, who our court recently elected to take over the grandfather program, the mental health docket, after the retirement of Judge Vanderkar. That's not the end of the day. She's got to go through a certification process because the court itself is not certified for these programs. The individual judge who provides those services is certified by the Supreme Court to do that work. And I've also brought along our Assistant Court Administrator, Holly Gleason, who works hand in glove with the Supreme Court to make sure that all the paperwork is done correctly, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and we are successful in getting the certification that Judge Morehart will be going through soon and all the rest of us have done. This ordinance represents a transfer of fund that's already been budgeted. So there's really nothing special, but I would like to take the opportunity, and I have in the past and I will every time it is offered, to thank this council for its support, along with Franklin County, who supports these programs in an equal amount to make our community a better and safer place. We are recognized around the state. We are recognized nationwide in this community, in part because of the work that we do at the court with the help of this council and with the help of Franklin County. So I just come before all of you, as I have in the past, to give us our heartfelt thanks for the support that this council has provided on behalf of the City of Columbus to these specialized dockets, and to answer any questions that any of you may have about our specialized docket programs. Thank you very much.
Seeing no questions is always good, right, Judge? I think we've learned. But as President Klein mentioned, we thank you all for what you do and how important these specialty dockets are throughout our community.
Good partnership.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I have no other ordinances or corrections tonight, President Klein.
Any other business to come before council? We do have, I think, 3 non-agenda speakers. We're going to, if I can get a motion, adjourn momentarily and go directly to the non-agenda speakers. We have a couple items on the zoning agenda, which we will take at 6:30. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand adjourned, and we'll take non-agenda here in a second. Regular meeting number 27 will now come to order. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Are there any communications and reports received by the city clerk?
No, there are not.
How about first readings of 30-day legislation?
No, they're not.
We'll go directly to the Zoning Committee. Councilmember Page chairs that committee. All members serve on that committee. Councilmember Page, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side, and we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against any council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Thank you. Our first ordinance this evening is 1072-2016. To grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.037 R2F Residential District, 3332.039 R4 Residential District, 3312.49 minimum numbers of parking spaces required, 3321.05B2 vision clearance, 3332.14 R2F area district requirements, 3332.15 R4 area district requirements, and 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted of the City of Columbus codes for the property located at 395 West 2nd Avenue, 43201. To conform an existing 8-unit apartment building and permit a 6-unit apartment building on the same lot with reduced development standards in the R2F and R4 residential districts. The applicant is Bud Vetter. The proposed use is 1 8-unit apartment building and 1 6-unit apartment building on the same lot. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Harrison West Society recommended approval. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I have ordinance 1131-2016 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.037 R2F residential district use, 3312.43 required surface for parking, 3312.49 minimum numbers of parking spaces required, 3321.05B vision clearance, 3332.05A4 area district lot width requirements, 3332.14 R2F area district requirements, 3332.21D building lines, 3332.25 maximum side yards required, and 3332.26 C3 minimum side yard permitted of the City of Columbus codes for the property located at 593 City Park Avenue, 43215, to permit a 3-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Smith Kids LLC, care of Michael Shannon, attorney. The proposed use is a 3-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval. German Village Commission recommended approval. If there are no questions or comments, I would first like to move to amend this ordinance to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage as amended.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Have ordinance 1140-2016 to grant a variance from the provisions of section 3367.01 M2 manufacturing uses of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 5095 Westerville Road, 43231, to permit an athletic training and conditioning facility in an existing office warehouse building in the M2 manufacturing district. The applicant is Andre Irvin. The proposed use is an athletic training and conditioning facility. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Northland Community Council recommended approval. I believe we have one speaker here speaking for this ordinance, Mr. Walter Reiner. If you could please come down to the podium and state your name and any organizations that you may represent, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Walter Reiner. I'm a property owner across the street from this, and I want to say this, even though that we're competing property owners, but I am 100% in favor of what these young folks are doing. James and Andre, I visited their facility. It's fantastic. They took this old warehouse and reconfigured it. They've got a wonderful basketball court in there, all kind of workout training things. Columbus is suffering from an onset of diabetes mellitus, particularly among the youth. So I think these are the kind of facilities the City Council needs to support. And I think it's wonderful that these young folks have the entrepreneurial spirit to get out there and invest their money. They've got a tremendous capital investment of this. And I think it's really a sight to behold, because this was a very decrepit warehouse. And I say this because I'm a sort of a brother in basketball. I was in the over 50 Columbus League for many years, probably added to my longevity. That's why I was able to get up here still. So, but there was a spate of problems in that area with zoning officers attacking prevalent uses nearby, across the street, down the street, that had been in business for 15 and 50 years. So I wanted to point out that a small business like these fellows is the generator of jobs. It's not the big businesses that create jobs. So I want the City Council to be aware that these are the kind of things that need to be protected in our community. And I would say private property rights are what made Columbus great. These fellows, with a little help with the variance, can then have their business and succeed for a very needed cause.
Thank you so much for your comments, Mr. Reiner. You have just about a minute. If you have any additional comments, I would like to allot you that time.
I've got a whole minute. No, that's all right.
Thank you so much for coming down. I would like to ask if the applicant is here, if they would like to make any additional comments. Well, thank you. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I would like to move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And our final zoning ordinance this evening is 1141-2016 to rezone 5595 Bowen Road 43110, being 17.97 acres located on the west side of Bowen Road, 120 feet north of Canal Highlands Boulevard, from LR2 Limited Residential District to LR2 Limited Residential District, and to declare an emergency. The applicant is Miranda Homes Incorporated of Ohio, care of Christopher Jones and Paul T. Saba attorneys. The proposed use is a single-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Far Southeast Area Commission recommended approval. If there are no questions or comments, I would first like to move to amend this ordinance to an emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage as amended.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. I have nothing further in zoning this evening.
Thank you, Chair Page. Before we get a motion to adjourn, I was remiss not to recognize Alexis Pinnell on my staff, who is a recent graduate of The Ohio State University. Great work, Alexis. We're proud of you. Keep it up. And we're excited to have you on board here at City Hall. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stenziano, Tyson, President Klein.